just
I got one more question. So for you, as a competitor, many people think you might have a software or pen and paper. So for ROI plan, who's your main competitor? Is it
Excel.
more Excel, right?
Excel.
Okay. So your tool basically has to be more useful and more easy to use than Excel. I mean, that's very strong competition there.
Yes, but it's also about the mindset. If
Okay.
you it would be extreme. You can manage bunch of spreadsheets, but the more spreadsheets you'll create, the more complicated it would be to track the progress. For the spreadsheets as well. It with spreadsheets it would be extremely hard to track the marketing performance. So. Of course, you can even integrate Excel spreadsheets with Zapier and even try to build some custom reports. But the biggest benefit for our plan, I didn't mention another feature which we created. So we created a campaign feature. Campaign, actually, you can orchestrate a complex campaign like account-based demand generation campaign where you have multiple steps, and with most guys who start to implement an ABM, I have heard one concern. So ABM takes time, so it's something that you can't do in just 2 weeks. So it takes time to, especially if you want to reach out to enterprise or so-called tier 1 companies. So if you are doing it from scratch, it can take even up to 3 months to prepare the campaign. Then you need some budget. And once you present it to stakeholders who don't have marketing background, just pretend you are in their shoes. You receive some random campaign. Okay, Stefan, we want to do, demand generation campaign for 50 tier 1 companies. So I need 20K and I will prepare this campaign in 3 months. What will you say? So the same, once you're preparing this campaign, we help. I'm sharing all of templates I'm using in my own consulting practice. So the same with our plan. We'll have examples of different marketing plans. So you can, just use templates I'm sharing for different verticals. The same is with the campaigns. So you'll have the pre-built campaigns. You just need to just work on the steps I'm sharing. And the biggest benefit, which I'm adding to our plan, I want to mix software and educational part. Probably, I'm working on the full funnel academy right now, and I'm going to mix it. So software will also provide the knowledge. So it's not only about a plan with experiments, but you will also know how to implement it, and that's the best part. And also it will come with, I want to build a closed community for our plan users and students of Full Funnel Academy, where I will be able to provide my feedback, sharing my experience, and you'll never get it with Excel. So, but besides this, as I mentioned, Excel spreadsheets, they could be, you can forget about them. It would be extremely hard to find these experiments, while in our plan, in one click, you can find everything.
Gotcha. Okay. So so the last question for today would be, how do you? So I know you do a lot of things, so you have to be very productive, right? So how do you combine work, hobbies, football, family? Do you have kind of a routine, and how do you plan things?
Sure. So I was I'm, let's say, time management freak. So 10 years ago, when I got my first promotion in Kimberly-Clark, I started to notice that I started to work much more. So sometimes I started to work on Saturday, that hustling mode. So called. So, but it started to annoy me. So I wanted to spend a weekend with my family and with my friends, and I didn't want to, I wanted to rest. So I started to read and implement lots of stuff, and until I just, what I did, I took best things from different systems and created my own. So basically, what I used to do, I use so-called zero calendar tactics. So I plan all my week that way that I don't have free slots at all. So I have all the calls. Basically, initially I create all the calls, so like what calls and meetings I need to have during next week. Next, I prioritize different important for me tasks. And in my case, my core source of leads acquisition is content marketing. So obviously I need to write. And besides this, and lots of people, love my blog. So that's that also motivates me to produce more content. So what I'm doing, I'm just scheduling blocks in my calendar. So and you also know, as a marketer, you can start writing, and you can write in for 5 hours or 6 hours, even don't realize it. And that's how you deprioritize all other tasks. So what I realized, it's better to focus, depending on your schedule on particular week. It's better to to block 90 minutes just solely for writing. Then you stop, you close your Word file or whatever you use for writing, and you focus on other tasks. The same with sport activities. So I just schedule, for example, 30 minutes. As for the morning routine, yes, I have morning routine, and it's pretty simple. So I just wake up, I do 30 minutes brisk walk. People always ask me, one day I posted like that I listen a lot to the podcast, and some guys ask me like, when do you have time to listen to the podcast if you run multiple ventures? That's when I listen to them. So I walk and I listen to the podcast. That's pretty simple. And I write down an ideas while I'm listening. I never listen just to listen. I know the topic, and I always write down some ideas which I can implement to one of my businesses or businesses of my clients. Next, I come back, I do a contrast shower, and next I sit down 20 minutes reading. Then I learn languages. So I learn Croatian right now, just to that's my own approach. I want to, I want to learn the culture of the country where I am living. So I think it's important. And next step, I'm also working on English right now. I'm working on English imitation courses to, talk, to sound more as like a native speaker, to improve pronunciation, because we are Europeans. We all have our own accent, and my goal is to sound sound more familiar, more like or make my sharings, my learnings more consumable to people from different continents. That's why I'm working on improvement. I'm done with it. I have a breakfast, then I sit down and start working on writing. Then I have a first block, and it could be some working tasks. I usually work on the most priority tasks. I define every evening. I define like 3 the most priority tasks. Then I set up 3 medium priority tasks and 3 low priority tasks. And it's called like agile. If you have ever heard about it, it's like agile planning. So that's pretty simple. But as well, as I mentioned, I schedule some ongoing activities as sport. So I do like in the middle of the day, I like if I am at home, I can devote 30 minutes to some sport exercises, and that's all. Then I finish my day and go hanging out with my family, friends, and devote time to my kids. Pretty simple.
Right. Cool, fantastic insights, Andrei. Let's finish it. Let's wrap up with the blitz. All right. So, what is your strongest skill, Andrei? Andrei, can you hear me?
Yes.
So let's wrap up with the blitz. What's your strongest skill?
Systematic approach to things.
Okay, Croatia or Poland?
Depending on what we will consider, but Poland.
Okay. What book had the biggest impact on you and why?
80-20 in sales and marketing, because it helped me to prioritize experiments. And from that book, I learned that you need to devote, that's my own approach. I always devote 80% of time and budget to experiment that are proven and that generate or can generate the highest possible ROI. But at the same time, I always want to try new stuff, so I devote 20% of time and budget to try new experiments.
Okay, so that's a book, right? 80-20 in
Yes,
marketing?
80-20 in sales and marketing, written by Perry Marshall.
Okay, Perry Marshall. Okay. Okay. Next question. Borussia Dortmund or Dinamo Zagreb?
Borussia Dortmund.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Who do you follow and why?
Honestly, I follow multiple folks. When it comes to LinkedIn, I don't follow anybody on Facebook or Instagram. Or Twitter. I use only LinkedIn, and I follow several folks. Which I want to share. One of them is Gaetano Dinardi, ex CMO at Sales Hacker and now CMO at Nextiva. And the reason why I'm following is that he is not afraid to tell the truth about marketing, and he polarizing his audience, and he shares everything, and he also touches some things that might annoy some marketers. Some unpopular opinion in marketing circles, and I love it. So he always, very straightforward and provide great insights. So I highly recommend to follow him. But at the same time, there are lots of folks, and I invited all of them to they appeared on my Full Funnel B2B Marketing podcast. So you can just go through the list of guests, and I highly recommend to follow all of them. Chris Walker, who was a recent guest on my podcast, we also did a broadcast to B2B marketers and founders community. Matt Hines, who is like a seasoned B2B marketer. Staffo, Ricardo, who are our active B2B marketer and founders community members. Ferdinand Godson from Netherlands, Kieran Flanagan from HubSpot. These guys provides brilliant insights. James Carberry from Sweetfish Media. But I just suggest to check the list of these guests. So all of the folks that were on the podcast already, I follow all of them and also recommend them to be followed by our audience.
Okay, last question. If you were starting right now and you could do one thing differently, what would it be?
If I was started right now and could do differently one thing, I'd get an internship in some fastest growing B2B startup. Could be, Drift, Dropbox, or whatever. Like they didn't exist when Dropbox only started, to grow at that time. But what I did differently, I'd find some internship opportunities to start working and getting more, getting involved into this technical community. And that's probably one thing. If I did it at that point, probably I assume our plan would be at not an MVP stage, but at completely different stage right now.
Gotcha. Cool. That was an awesome interview, Andrei. Thank you for your insights. And see you then next week on another episode.
My pleasure. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.